Hey everybody, welcome to my live here, and it is titled How Badly Do You Want It? And the majority of people say they want their goals and their aspirations, but they don't actually want them badly enough. And a lot of people use the stories in their head, and these are real stories, right? This is our fear that we have in our head that stop us from actually moving forward and achieving the things that we aspire to and the things that we set out as our goals. And so a lot of people just don't want it badly enough. They say they want some things, but they're not willing to take the action for whatever reason. That's not a bad thing. And I think some people, with their goal setting, they set these huge expectations for themselves, these huge mountains to overcome. And so when they're sitting at the journey, looking up at the mountain as I'm looking up to the sky, when they're sitting in this journey, they all of a sudden, it becomes insurmountable. Days go by, weeks go by, months go by, and then we then go and crap on ourselves, knowing that we didn't do enough or didn't take any action, or we tried and we failed. And so then this is a demotivator rather than a motivator. So I just wanted to help you on this little conversation as I'm walking along the beach on this beautiful sunrise today. It's actually stunning. Just me, some people, and the seagulls here. And the waves are actually quite nice. We've got some really nice rolling waves out here. It's quite beautiful here where I am. So why do we not want it badly enough? Because we're really not willing to do what it takes in a lot of cases. We're not willing to learn what we need to learn. We're not willing to go sometimes through discomfort to go and achieve the things that we want to achieve. And I have found myself in these situations where I've set these big, hairy, audacious goals, looking up at the sky going, wow, that's a really big goal. It's a great thing to go for. And then, at some point we get a little bit of overwhelm, or we sit there and go, wow, that's just too much hard work, right? Not worth the sacrifice. What have I got to give up to do? And this is a thing. It's this thing of what I have to give up. How hard do I have to work? What if it doesn't work out for me? What if I get there and I'm not happy with where I'm at? Some people, you've heard that people say that they're afraid of success because with success comes some responsibility, right? And responsibility, that word, responsibility, I don't know the origin, I believe it's a French origin, but your action, your response, and your ability to move forward, to actually own that, is on you. And so sometimes we sit there and go, hey, this is hard, or whatever it might be, or we have a story in our head that, we've been hard done by in the past, and we come from a tough background, and we've heard all the rags to riches, all those sorts of stories. But in all those stories came sacrifice, commitment, actions, learning, mentoring, failures, so many failures to reach the pinnacles of their success. And this is a thing that a lot of people don't understand, that to reach the outcome, you're going to have some setbacks along the way, and those setbacks are there to give you feedback to make adjustments, not to learn from your mistakes, but learn from the things that worked and then make an adjustment. It's like advertising. A lot of people go and spend money advertising expecting, that the ads that they run are going to work straight off the bat. And unfortunately, as Henry Ford used to say, I spent a lot of money on advertising. I just wish I knew which 50% of my advertising actually worked, right? And so, you're going to have to test and persevere with your idea, and you've got to be juiced by it. If you're not inspired by your idea or your aspiration or the thing that you want to experience, then there is no way that that's going to come to you as an outcome. If you aspire to master something, then you've got to go and learn those things. There's some great documentaries about people who've mastered their craft. If you look at Solo, the guy who climbed El Capitan barehanded. G'day, good to see you here. Andy, g'day Andy, how you doing? So how did I build my mental muscle? It's not so much the mental muscle that I had to build, Andy, but I like the way you're thinking here. To me, I want to frame the experience. I want to reach out to that experience. So I love driving. I'm a big, for me, I enjoy driving cars. Driving is something that is an absolute pleasure to me. I love driving. There is something about driving a car, and especially something about driving a performance car, that just buzzes you, right? Just there's this energy and there's this feeling. And I owned a Porsche. I got into Porsches there for a while, and so they're not cheap cars to buy, but how I got into them was I went and test drove one and said, I got to have one of these. And literally within about 3 or 4 weeks, I put myself into my first Porsche. So the thing was that, how do you do the mental muscle? It's not so much the mental muscle that we're exercising. It's the fact that we've got to create a frame of reference of that possibility. Have others have achieved it? How have they achieved it? Who has done those sorts of things? That's how you train, or if I'm saying training the brain, you want to create an experiential moment. So we are multifaceted people. We have multi-senses, smell, touch, hearing, our vision, right? We have all those senses happening. So all of that has an impact on our brain and what we experience or what our expression is. So if I want to experience a aspirational goal, then I want to take action on that. So for example, if I think years back, I wanted to travel, and I actually wanted to go to the Eiffel Tower. Now, for most people these days, travel is a relatively easy thing to do, but back when I was a teenager in school, I didn't know how I was going to get to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but I started looking at what it cost. And I started saving, and I started building a little plan, and I started taking, I had pictures of the Eiffel Tower, and I watched videos of people climbing the Eiffel Tower, and all that sort of stuff. So for me, I was trying to create the experience or understanding that that's where I wanted to put myself and wanted to be. And it's really weird that within less than 4 months, literally hopped on a plane to Paris and was climbing that Eiffel Tower. And so what seemed to be an insurmountable obstacle for a teenager to do became a reality because I immersed myself in the experience. I worked out a simple plan. It's really weird. We plan our vacations more than we plan our lives, and we plan our businesses or plan our finances. If we took as much care in planning the things around our lives, our finances, health, spirituality, as we do planning a vacation, then we would achieve our goals way faster. We would achieve our aspirations way faster. But in a lot of ways, getting back to what I was talking about initially is, we don't want this badly enough for ourselves. I hear, I think it's Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, has a fantastic video on YouTube where he talks about a story about a man who said he wanted to achieve success, and the person, his mentor, said, come down to the beach. So the guy came down to the beach fully clothed and said, let's go into the water, and was taking him into the water until the water was just lapping above his head, and then pushed him down into the water, because this person couldn't understand what the metaphor was, how the hell was going to become successful standing in the water on the beach here, right? So he pushed him down, and this person was fighting and scratching and struggling to get air, right? And the mentor said to the person who wanted to be successful, so if you want to be successful, you want it badly enough, as badly as you want to breathe in this moment. If you want it that badly, you're going to do the things you need to do. You're going to take the action. You're going to get the feedback. You're going to go through your failures, and ultimately you're going to see the outcome for yourself. People don't want it badly enough, and that's why it doesn't happen. It's got nothing to do with their capabilities or their lack of resources or anything, because there are so many examples of people who've experienced way more adversity than most of us and have somehow created an extraordinary life for themselves, not only one that impacts on them personally, but one that impacts on the world and the people around them. And in some cases, they've impacted millions of people with their ideas, just with their ideas sometimes, not with their own presence in that moment. G'day, Andy. How you doing? Appreciate that, Andy. Go over to Consulting Unleashed and lob into the group over there. There's a lot of business stuff over there. So, how badly do you want it, right, is the question. If there's something that you aspire to, What is that thing that you aspire to? Who has experienced this already? Where can you create a frame of reference for that? Then think about what it would take, the steps, small steps, not big steps. As a friend of mine constantly reminds me, Tim Conley says, in fact, I believe he got it from Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach, says little hinges swing big doors. So little consistent actions ultimately lead to a much greater result. In fact, oftentimes you're going to surpass your result. A friend of mine, Ezra Firestone, talks about mastery, learning something so much so that you understand every nuance of it and then be able to express that on such a massive scale so that it has a huge impact, right? So mastery becomes part of this process. So the question I have for you today is, what is it that you really, 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 really want? That's 4 reallys. Really, 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 really want. What is it you really, really want? And then the next question is, why is that important to you, right? Why is that important to you? And if you were to experience this thing that you really, 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 really want, what would it feel like in your mind's eye to actually experience? What's it going to be like when you have or bring that experience into your life? Whether it be a thing, whether it be a person, a feeling, an emotion, whatever it is that you're trying to bring in an experience in your life, what would it feel like? So you know why this is really, really important, right? You know the reasons as to why it's important and why you want it. And then sit down and think about it if you put yourself in the mind's eye of that moment of what's it going to feel like when you bring that into your life. And then what I would encourage you to do is take one tiny action, just one tiny action towards having that experience. It could be looking something up on the internet. It could be grabbing a book. It could be going to a location and placing yourself in the experience of whatever it is that you desire. It could be asking a question of somebody else who might have experienced it and what their feelings were. It could be asking or sharing your story, actually telling people about the thing that you really, really want that's really important to you, and why that's important to you. And then think about the little steps. Think about the little things that you can do to maximize your opportunity to actually achieve that outcome. And if you make that important enough to you, you will realize that that little journey, those little incremental steps, that one day you're going to look up and not only you would have achieved the things that you want to achieve, but you will have surpassed them. You will have surpassed. Oftentimes I've found myself with my head down in process, not in outcome, as my mentor used to say. Work in process, not in outcome, because in process is that journey. And let me tell you, that journey is not a straight line. It's going to look like spaghetti for everybody. But ultimately, I found myself in those moments in process that I've gone through those things to work towards something that is truly important to me. And then finally, I've actually popped my head up and I've found myself surpassing. I've found myself having a much greater experience than what I set out to have in the first place. So it really is about being in process, not being in outcome. And then the big question you've got to ask yourself is, how important is it? And then why this is emotionally important to you, why it's something that you really want to experience, right? Because the more reasons you put behind it, the more you actually craft the reality of that experience. And then more importantly, then you can sit down and say, hey, where can I put myself in the moment of that expression? Who has done this? Where can I learn? What can I do? What are the little steps? And these days we have access to the most incredible resource in the world. We have the minds of the world right here on the internet. I'm just running away from the waves that are about to swamp my shoes because I'm walking on this beach in sneakers. I hopefully this has helped you to understand why, or I guess more importantly, why we don't want it badly enough. I hope this has been helpful to you. Love for you to share. Gareth Byrne, good to see you. You are watching me everywhere, Gareth. Good to see you here, mate. So thank you for watching this. I'm going to be posting this around a little bit. But I just sat there and I've often have these conversations. In fact, a a very close friend of mine. It's really weird. We have this conversation probably once every couple of months. We sit down and we sit there and we say, hey, people just really don't want things badly enough. You know, if you really wanted something, you'd figure it out. That's the key. That's the whole goal. We are meant on this world. We are here to grow through our experiences and what we share and what we give out in value and what we receive back in terms of the feedback or the expressions that we have. Those experiences help us grow. You know, we are organic matter, and if we feed that organic matter with great experiences, our expressions are going to be that much greater and so much more impactful on not only ourselves, but all the people around us and maybe people beyond your reach that you're not even aware of. So hopefully this has given you some ideas. Hopefully this has given you some sort of solace. Fear, you know, fear stands for fuck everything and run. That's what fear, that's the acronym of fear. Fear is fuck everything and run. You literally throw your hands up. And most fear is just a made up story. The majority of fear is just a made up story. So if you understand that you're making a story up from something that's stopping you from having the things that you want to experience, right? Think about what the truth is, because oftentimes our fears are a lie and a protection, our fight or flight that we throw up to stop us, to stop ourselves from experiencing the things that we actually want to experience. So if you have hesitation, if you have discomfort, discomfort is great, right? Fear is great because it means there's something there. So all we need to do is we need to reframe the fear. I'm going to hold the reframing the fear for another video, but really ask yourself this question. If you aspire to something, if you aspire to have something, how badly do you really want this? And why is it really, 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 really important? That's 4 reallys, right? 4 reallys. The reasoning, and then what's it going to take? What are the little things that you can do that'll get you there? Oftentimes, I'm just going to get swamped by water right now. That was a bit of a run from the wave. That water just came right up at me, up my feet here. I'm wearing sneakers. I don't want to get wet. But anyway, hopefully that's been helpful to you. I'd love to see your comments on this video. I'm going to be sharing this around. If you found this valuable, I'd encourage you to share it as well. If you want to know more about stuff that I'm working on, go over to consultingunleashed.com, download some free stuff, jump into our Facebook group over there. If you're in business or wanting to be in business or wanting to start a business, I've got some great stuff and great ideas and tactics for you over there. But with that, if you've enjoyed this video, please do share it. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.